What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Multitasking Trainer on Malwarfare. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Malwarfare is the map where we have to escort Orana's transport as it purifies security terminals from a rogue AI. We win the game if she purifies all 5 terminals, but we lose if the enemies or suppression towers destroy the transport. Void rifts spawn every 90 seconds. Each rift continuously spawns enemy units until destroyed. Each command costs resources to issue.
Okay, so Twotuuu is the call blast day. Twotuuu, how are you today?
Alright.
Alright, nice. So once again, Styxbender is not available and neither is Evil Ling, so Twotuuu and I will have to do this on our own. Twotuuu, how will we rank the commanders this week?
So this mutation is difficult not because of microtransactions, but because of the map. So if
Yes.
it were Void Rifts with no microtransactions, it would be just as difficult. The microtransactions just kind of annoying. So the problem is that for the 220 wave rifts can spawn in the 4th area, the 4th terminal, or like the center. It's possible. And if they do, you can't kill them. So basically you have to keep dealing with trickles. And then after 820, some of the rifts can spawn in like the last base.
Very
so
last, yes.
very, very far. So commanders that can either hold on to those constant trickles or be able to clear those far rifts easily will get a slightly higher score.
Yeah, slightly higher.
Ranking.
For me, there are 4 things to consider. Dealing with the early rifts, dealing with the far rifts, I just split those off. Microtransactions, I still factored it in because some commanders will have a harder time because they rely on economy. And finally, the map itself, which, yeah, it's as much of a factor as the mutator. So let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
So Abathur is good because he doesn't rely on like money. So he doesn't need a lot of money to do a lot. However, this is a huge star, I guess, because if you can't get a Brutalist before 220, then you might just like
Die.
If you're gonna wait for the waves to give you your first Brutalist, you're not gonna survive. So you need to be able to farm. If you can't farm, then you need an ally who can hold off the like early game for you until you get your 3 Brutalists. But if you are able to get your early Brutalist by like 230-ish or something, then he's like really, really good because he can get all the far ones. The problem with the far ones is that if you deep tunnel on the wrong side, you'll get aggroed. So I suggest that if you're gonna deep tunnel to the far ones, deep tunnel with all 3 Brutalists. And like, so you can fight them off or like stall a little longer or split the damage. Yeah, I put him in A because he's really good.
I also put him in A. I would have put him in S if not for the fact that he has to farm biomass and you know how to farm. And there's that randomness, as Twotuuu said, of deep tunneling to a far base where you have 1 Brutalisk or 2 on the wrong side, and those 2 Brutalisks happen to be the low health ones, and they get focused on by Immortals. Immortals are very bad news for Brutalisks. I only have him in A instead of S. Prestige-wise, I think no Prestige or second Prestige are both fine.
Yes.
Let's put him in A tier. Alarak, he is fine against the map. He is fine against early rifts. That's 2 out of 4, so 2 points goes to C tier for me.
So Alarak's plan for Void Rifts in general is to have hit squads of destroyers with P3. If you don't use P3, he's pretty much like down at the bottom.
Oh yes.
With the other bottom people. So
That's
you
his
need the
only
mothership.
Correct.
Mothership costs 8 to use. 8 minerals, 8 gas each command. It's a lot.
Yes.
Not as much as a 10-5 or, well, I guess almost the same. With Alarak, you want to actually clear the center and then like you have hit squads around the center so that you can like clear the rifts that are there, and eventually you'll fly all the way to the right to get a hit squad there and then teleport home or something. So the good thing about Alarak is he has 2 heroes. So he has the hero unit, which can stay at the terminal and defend. And then he also has overcharge, which can also help defend. And he has destroyers plus mothership for rifts. So he can do his part. So I put him in C.
Yeah, we pretty much agree on that. I didn't give Alarak points on far rifts because even though he can fly destroyers, I don't think it's early enough, and sometimes it's in the middle of the base, so you kind of have no way for your destroyers to get there safely. So we pretty much agree. And this only prestige this week is Shadow of Death, the 3rd prestige. If you want to use Alarak, we recommend you use that prestige. Arcturus, where do we have him?
I would say he has good defense against trickles, and he can take care of rifts, but you need to like get vision first. Later on, you'll need to make, you can also drop like troopers and sacrifice them and like blow up the rifts with the bombs with Merchant of Death. However, like he's really tight on economy, so you need a lot of money, and every time you move your army, you lose a lot. So
Oh yes.
it's really annoying. And if the enemy comp is not favorable, like if you can't defend Arana with bunkers, then like Immortals will just pummel through your bunkers. So yeah, I put him in C because he'll be fine.
I actually put him I also put him in C. I recommend the third prestige, the Merchant of Death, because your troopers will be very good at blowing up rifts. You can drop 2 of them with weapons at the rift, and then they will be unalived, and then their will destroy the Void Rift. And they're also equally good at dealing with the early Void Rifts. That's 2 points. They're not quite good against microtransactions because he is army-based, decidedly army-based. Or you can go Earth Splitters, but that also costs money. And the map itself, he's fine, but with microtransactions, that will severely hamper his ability to actually get out an army. And on top of dealing with the Void Rifts, there's not a lot left, unless you're, as Twotuuu said, dropping bunkers. But how do you deal with the suppression towers? Another problem. But yes, we agree with C tier, so there we go. Artanis, I think he's fine. I give him half a point for the early rifts because sometimes it spawns far, and I give him another half point against far rifts because he can kind of have an observer floating around near the unpathable terrains, and then you can drop a power field there, drop a dragoon, but only half a point because it doesn't really extend all the way throughout the map in the earliest parts of the 8-minute 20 void rifts. So that's 2 halves, 1 point. That's good for D tier. What do you think?
So he gets wrecked by a lot of comps. So like if you're using P3, you're not gonna be as good against rifts, but you'll fight against Zerg better. If you use P0, you're gonna be trash against Zerg, but you'll fight against rifts better. P0 in general is better for rifts because you can just target down a rift immediately, and with P3 you need vision right on the rift, so you need someone to help you coordinate, or you need like to already be there, which is kind of hard. And yeah, so P0 might be better, but I put him in E because he's really army based. He's not good at he can't get to far rifts, and like for observers, it's true you can do it, but you need to know the path to that place.
Yes.
And if there's a Terran, like the path to the right side, there are ravens and Vikings near there, so it's almost like impossible to get to the far right, unless you like are P0 and you lose one, or like you send 2 and you lose 1 or something. It's really hard to get back there. And the problem is, if you can't get back there, he can't fight trickles because his army, like he's army based, and if he's really poor, then he's gonna suffer. And if you have micro to avoid shots, then you lose money. So it's like really bad for this. So I put him in E.
Okay. We'll see later how many guys end up being in D or E, but I'm not too averse putting him down to E because you know me. In general, I'm all for bust Artanis, so let's put Artanis in E for now. I did have him in D, and for me, yes, the far rifts are really bad against Terran, so I think I will concede that. So I did put him in E. Prestige wise, yeah, if you're down in E, you kind of don't really change a lot, even if you use the best prestige. So you can use the first or the third prestige, the Archon dudes, or no prestige, and they'll do marginally one better than the other, but not that impactful. So still E. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka, P3 is great because Dehaka costs 1 mineral per command. So what I did was I used the Haka brothers early on because you need both of them. And then once the game, like once Arana started moving, I pretty much only used Dehaka, and Dehaka stayed home to eat trickles. So Dehaka got really big and Dehaka stayed really tiny. And then you spread impalers. So like you, if there's a rift near you, you unburrow, go nearby and just burrow, and it'll eventually kill the rift. Hopefully you're not fighting like Protoss, so like if there are observers or something, you can kill them. If you're fighting Terran, then it's free real estate. Eventually you get an army of guardians or mutalisks. I put them in B because once you get vision of the far areas with like Dock Run, you can just deep tunnel a greater primal worm and kill farther rifts.
I also put him in
pretty good at that.
I also put him in B, except I was thinking more of second prestige Dehaka. Yes, it's gonna be more expensive, but your packages will also be quite effective in clearing out the camps where the terminals are. But I think I wasn't considering that Dehaka is really cheap to micro, so that's probably gonna make the third prestige better than the second prestige. I do agree with all the points. And anyway, I did have him B either way, so I'm okay with B. One
I think
thing
P2 is fine. P2 is fine.
Yeah, one thing I would add is that for your army, you can just right-click all your guardians to Dehaka or Zweihaca, whichever you prefer, and then they will just kind of follow him automatically wherever he goes, so you don't have to spend money every time you issue a command. But that being said, Zweihaca and Dehaka's army is kind of supply dense. Maybe this is just when I go for Primal or for Creeper Host, but I find that I max out really quickly, and as long as they don't lose units, they should be alive for the duration of the entire game, or the rest of it at least. So maybe it'll not be as impactful because later on you'll be maxed out. You can just micro your units all around, but that's one thing you can do. Especially if, all armies with a hero, you can just right click your entire army to the hero and then they'll just follow it and then attack when the hero attacks. Let's move on. Fenix, Dehaka in B tier. I also agree with B tier. Fenix, he is okay against the early rifts because of Kaldalis. He is also strong against the map in general because he can just push with his champions and they'll be pretty good. That is 2 out of the 4. So, by the way, the scoring system for me is if you get all 4, you get A tier, 3 B tier, 2 C tier, 1 D tier, 0 E tier. If you're really good at all 4 jobs, really good, so good that you'll almost guarantee a win every time, you'll be in S tier. But yes, I did put Fenix in C tier. How about you, Twotuuu?
Phoenix, even when I did this, I was completely confused the entire game. I was like not sure what I was doing. I had like a general idea, but there was so much going on that I was like, you're basically playing Lone Wolf Tychus, but your army is weaker. Like your champions are not as strong. Kaldalis, Talus, they're focusing on clearing the map and then or the objective area, like fighting suppression towers. Then you get like Warbringer in the center, Tal'Darim in the top left, and then eventually you get Clolarian and Mojo. And Mojo will be like for the far ones if you get there. Also, you can put like an observer and then summon one of the Phoenix suits and kill the far rifts as well. The good thing about Kaldalis is he kills a lot of the encampments really quickly. But yeah, you also need to move your shells. Moving shells is expensive.
Yes.
So yeah, I also put him in C, but it's like really hard to use because you have to like know everything that's going on, at least have a general plan in your head of what's going on at every moment, or else you're gonna get confused and you're like your army's lost and you can't F2.
Okay, so maybe C star? Because it's really hectic.
He's really hectic because he has so much stuff going on and so many upgrades and all that.
I'm okay with that. C star it is. Han and Horner, where do we have him?
Han and Horner is one of the best commanders for this mutation because Han and Horner sits at the objective while blasting the rifts from home. So you keep 4 galleons at the objective and you keep 1 galleon at home with some units to like pick off the trickles. Since they'll spawn like Lings, Marine, or Zealot because the burning takes a while, but they won't spawn the big waves. So as long as you know the Han and Horner Rift Order build order, which is get a fusion armory before 5 minutes, fusion core by 6 minutes, fire upgrade by around 7 minutes. If you do all that, you can get all the rifts. You can keep making the strike fighter platforms before you expand. You get like at least 8, probably 10 before you expand. So it's like you need those rifts, the strike fighter platforms. But for defense, it's just like the only reason why they're not S is that some enemy comps have lots of AOE, and that's kind of problematic. Also, you have to be disciplined with your top bar usage because like the general rule for Han Horner is after you use your, you do not use your strike fighters for anything except rifts. And then after the rifts are done, you use the rest. You burn all the rest so that every time they're off cooldown, you just don't touch them until the next round of rifts. So like if there are rifts that are close to you, use your army. Then you get 2 extra strikes elsewhere. And then you get to like clear, that's how you clear the map. And if you mess that up, then you might not like be able to get one of the rifts. So yeah, but I put him in A.
Hey, that's really high. I had him in C because I gave him half a point for dealing with microtransactions because they're a cheap army and they have refunds and salvage. But I didn't give them any points for the map itself. I didn't think they were anything special. Are you able to push just fine? Even despite the enemy comps?
Like remember that I said the strike fighter thing? You're pretty much clearing encampments along the path with your extra strike fighters and some mag mines along the way. And you don't actually spend much for microtransactions because your army sits still, especially if you have Hellbats. Like if they die, then the enemies get feared and stuff.
How
so
about the suppression
hopefully
towers?
they don't suppression towers. You just move your Reapers. You have to pay to move them, but like it's not that much because you're not really spending money to micro to kill rifts.
How about the escorts on the suppression towers? Can the Reapers deal with those?
Yeah, depends on enemy count, which is why they're not S. Because if they have a lot of storm and stuff, then yeah. But I ended this with like 200 supply and like 10,000 minerals, I think. Let me check. I had a lot of money, 1,000 minerals and 1,000 gas. I thought I had a lot more, but I was completely maxed out at the end of the game because it was really easy.
What enemy comp
Because
did
they're
you
really
fight?
the Zerg one,
Devouring
Zerg
Scourge?
Air. The ones that can kill the galleons in one shot. That's why.
Devouring Scourge.
That's why I think. Yeah, I think if you're fighting something that has like AOE, then they're not as good, but they're still really good against the rifts.
Yeah, that's why I didn't give them points against the map itself because they are weak to splash damage.
I mean, you can still micro them because like people think that because of microtransactions you don't micro at all, but that's not true. You still move. You just try not to move so much.
Actually, what I do
a lot
is
of commanders have to micro and they spend a lot of money killing rifts, whereas Han Horner spends like 10 minerals, 10 gas or something like that to just strike down all the
what I try to do is use up all my minerals, like spend every single mineral I have, and then that allow me to just move for free, essentially.
For like a second.
Yeah, for a couple seconds, but that's usually enough. Either way.
Yeah, that's
that's
good.
I'm a bit unsure about putting him in A. How about we put him in B for now, and then we'll see where the rest line out, and then later on we'll come back and then see whether they are worthy of A.
I'm just gonna say I think Han Horner is third best in this of the whole group, better than Zeratul. So
I have four guys in
running.
Okay, yeah, I have 4 guys in S and A. So if you're saying Han Horner's third best, so 2 of those guys. Okay, we'll put them in A for now. We'll come back later and see whether they belong. I haven't played Han Horner, so I usually would just defer to Twotuuu here. Okay, let's put him in A for now. We'll come back later and see. Karax, I had him in A because I gave him a point for close rifts and far rifts because he can get vision using observers. I gave him a point for the map itself because you can just push with towers, or you can go for the second prestige, Templar Parent, and then push with an army. But why would you do that? Because it's expensive. And I gave him a point against microtransactions because if you do tower push, you're only spending extra minerals on moving your probe. 2 minerals each. That's not a huge amount. So I did think he deserves an A.
I don't think Karax is good for this one because orbital strike costs 10 minerals per strike. So you're really poor for like the early game, and if it's like you have to take control of the center, you're gonna be relying on just cannons, and you're gonna be like out of minerals all the time. So unless the rifts spawn like really close to you every time and you have cannons there so you save energy, you're really, really poor the whole time. I actually think Karax is not that good for once. He can get some of the farther ones. He can, but that means like he has to pick up the slack elsewhere. And like someone else has to pick up the slack. And if the enemy has like anti-armor or building stuff, or even if you leave too many rifts alone, they'll send tanks and immortals. They'll break your cannons. And yeah, Karax is really poor. So I put him in C.
So you basically
he has no energy, no money.
No energy, no money. Which prestige did you use?
C, third one, not C. Third prestige. I didn't actually beat this one with Karax yet because it's really hard.
I played this with a Karax ally. Once they got to the later game, well, the caveat is they're not soloing, so it's not quite the same. But once they got to the later game, it got kind of smooth almost because once they get the upgrades.
Once you have late game, you have map control. So
yes,
it's like the first 10 minutes is the important part, and it's hard to expand.
Okay,
it's hard to expand.
So you're saying that they're not that good against microtransactions because the orbital strike costs money.
Yes.
Okay, and as for the far rifts, they can't really get that far because they'll need
they can use observers.
Yeah, they can use observers.
You can use observers.
But
so the far rifts are fine, but like by the time, like unless you build your robo at like 5 minutes,
yeah, you'll be sacrificing
really fast.
You'll be sacrificing your ability to get energy quickly by getting the robo instead of the energy upgrade from the Spear of Adun. Okay, I can see that. I I did play this one with a Karax ally, so I was wondering, hey, why aren't you shooting the Voidus?
Who are you playing as?
Abathur.
Okay, then of course.
We did take 2 tries, by the way. The first try, remember when we went this Abathur, or when we were discussing Abathur, I did say that Immortals hit really hard. Because for the first game, we got Immortals, and I deep tunneled my Brutalisk to the side with Immortals, and then my Brutalisk died before it could actually snipe the Rift. Even though when I was right-clicking the Rift, that's how insane Immortals are against Brutalisks. But yes, okay, if you're saying Karax is C, I mean, yeah, I saw that my ally did get like 2 more rifts than I did, which is good, but I was kind of doing everything else. So I didn't realize why.
Yeah.
I thought my ally was kind of slacking off, but it turns out that Karax wasn't that good because it's too expensive to use Spear of Adun. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, then.
So, and since you're really poor, you can't get cannons. And you
That
can't
makes
defend.
sense.
You can get. It's hard to get monoliths too because they cost so
300
much.
medals. Yeah. All right, fine. If you say C, then yeah, I can see it. Let's move on. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Oh, Kerrigan. Kerrigan is notoriously bad against rifts in the early game because she has like nothing against the first rifts. Except maybe Lings. You can probably kill 1 rift and you're gonna be like wasting so much money microing. Once Kerrigan comes out, things will get a lot better. However, there's so much work to do everywhere that if you are clearing rifts and like the map, you are not defending the objective at all because you have no money for anything. Unless you're like really good at micro, you go back and forth getting heals, going back and healing, and then like defending the objective, then going out again, getting rifts. It's a lot of work. And every time you move her, it costs a lot of money. So she's not good for this. I put her in D.
I put Kerrigan
If you only focus on Kerrigan and like do a lot of stuff, then you that's pretty good. But you also have to make sure she doesn't die. So that's also kind of hard.
I kind of put her in C because I think she's fine against the far rifts when you've got Kerrigan, and she's fine against the map itself because she can just do a lot of work with Immobilization Wave, the Kerrigan herself, and you can use Omega Worms to pop back and forth between the rifts and the objective. That being said, I do agree that it's quite hectic. So how about C star, or like bottom of C?
I think she's worse than all of those people. Yeah, just
by a huge margin.
So enough to be lower. Just one is the first rift. The first rifts. That's one thing. Second is that she has Omega Worms, but they're not as good as observers because the Omega Worms in the center will die if you don't keep if you have to get all the way to the far rifts and you have to fight all the way there and not die at the same time. And like you have to know the path. I guess it's not that hard, but like you have to be able to like get to there. And every time you get to there, your Omega Worm might just die. It won't stay there because it's probably going to get aggroed, right? So the enemies will end up killing it. So you have to like go back from the center again to the far rift unless you bring an overlord there for vision so you can pop an Omega Worm. But yeah, Omega Worms are not as great as observers for this one.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess you do have to protect your... But okay, yeah, I guess it's kind of too expensive to put guards on the Omega Worms. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, D is looking empty right now. So I guess there's a gap. So how I graded them is I have guys in D tier, no one in E tier. So I guess we can make room for... Yeah, I have 7 guys in C tier. I guess I can put some of them in D tier. Okay, let's put Kerrigan in D tier. Nova... I think she's kind of in the same boat as Kerrigan, except she doesn't have Omega Worms, but she does have Tactical Airlift. She will kind of be okay against the first rift if you can get the Marines out early. But what would you get Marines when you're going for Liberators instead? I think Liberators are better. Maybe you get a Raven for the first rifts. I'm not sure about Nova actually. I'm thinking that you'll still want to go for the first prestige so you can get a lot of Liberators. You can spread them around and knock out the Void Rifts and then defend the objectives. Or you can also go to third prestige, just clear. But that wouldn't be very helpful against the Void Rifts. So I think, yeah, first prestige is still better. And I gave her 2 points for the map itself. She's pretty good at the map because of the Liberators. And she is, I would say, okay against the early rifts because she could get like a Raven or just hold on until Nova comes out. Either way, I think that's C tier for me. Or now that we're putting a space between the C tier and the D tier, my original D tier, I guess that puts her down in D for me. Unless she has, I don't know, really good units that I forgot somehow. What do you think?
A tip for listeners: no matter whether you're going P1 or P3, you kill the first rifts with Marines. So yeah,
You do have to go
you
for
don't
Marines.
use
Okay.
you don't wait till you get a Raven. You use Marines. It's
So
just the
what you
build order for P1 is different. I will use P3. P3 is far better here. Nova is basically in the center of the map, just like one sabotage drone clears an entire small encampment, right? And then she has access to all the entire, like she can easily walk to the far rifts, and you don't even have to go all the way there because your sabotage drone can like
reach it.
extend as well. And you can clear like a rift plus enemies nearby. And you defend with Marines, Hellbats, and tanks and Goliaths, whatever you have, and a Raven. And then you just have like a Raven at home to pick up trickles. Raven plus like some units, maybe more Marines or something. So for pushing, it's not a problem because Nova probably would have cleared everything along the path already while she's doing all this stuff. And eventually you get Banshee hit squads in different parts of the map to clear rifts that are not along the way, like that are not where you are. So I put her in C.
So you can do all that because your only micro is right-clicking Nova, and then your army is just sticking around the middle. And when the suppression
Pretty
towers
much.
arrive, you just shift command some liberators to destroy it.
Yeah. Or you drop a defense drone and just like your whole army just attack
Okay.
whatever that was defending the center.
Okay.
But yeah, you eventually have liberators, and you just need like four. You just need like 4 liberators to take out tower in no time.
What enemy comp did you face?
I didn't beat this yet. But the existing run faced Devouring Scourge.
So the easiest one. I guess that's kind of bad for liberators when the Scourge try to bum rush them.
So you keep them away from the middle, and you have like
Okay.
Marines, Goliaths, and Ghosts.
Okay. All right.
But
Yeah, I did have her in C tier originally anyway, so I guess we stick to C tier. All right. So who else is gonna be in D tier? Raynor. Where do we have him?
Oh, was that foresight? So Raynor is bad because he's micro based. Like his army is he is army based, and he has the micro a lot. If you use P1, you can take care of early rifts, but you're at the mercy of the enemy comp. If you go P3, you'll be contributing close to nothing for a while until you get your army, which is also very bad. The good thing is he has Hyperion that can jump to the far ones and probably clear 2 or 3 of them if they're still left around there. The bad thing is that only happens once every 6 minutes. I would say because you're fighting Void Rifts, you should use Banshee cooldown, Duskwings cooldown, so that you always have them like almost matched up. But yeah, you want more Duskwings to be able to clear Rifts. So he's not very good. I put him in E.
Yeah, I originally had Raynor in D, but I had him basically the same tier as Artanis. So if you put Artanis in E, I think Raynor also belongs in E. Like Twotuuu said, it's gonna be pretty bad when you use Raynor. You can either use the 3rd prestige, they're gonna be useless until you have enough air units that you can summon the Hyperion pretty much at will. Or you can go bio and try to Lila your way if you're Lila, or just kinda suffer if you're anyone else. I agree with E tier. Not much else to say. Stet Boy, I have him in B tier. B tier, I think he's good with the forest. You can just blue zone your way there, Gary zone. He's good against the map itself because you can just have Zerglings with hardened shields. You can even have Ultralisks if you can attack your way up there. And I would say he's also good against microtransactions because if you just camp your army at the objectives and then just micro Gary, it'll be quite effective. So that's 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 equals B tier for me. What do you think?
I think so. Stetmann is notorious for not being very good against Void Rifts, since when he is elsewhere clearing rifts, his army has to do like the objective and stuff. And if the objective is just like defense, it's kind of okay. But it costs money to spread Stellalites. It costs gas to spread Stellalites once you get to Hive.
Okay.
So yeah, so you're gonna be, if you're gonna micro Gary a lot, you're gonna be really poor, and it's really hard to get an army. So he has the same problem as Kerrigan, especially with the early game, except later on he's a lot better than Kerrigan. But the issues that they face are similar, which is that when the hero unit is somewhere, the army, like, he's pretty much not defending the objective. Stetmann can kind of defend, but like if it's something that doesn't hit too hard, the hardened shield Zerglings don't do anything. They just get melted, and then you have to bring Gary back. Like if you're fighting Marines, Hardened Shield doesn't really do anything. So you need Gary back there, but you also need Gary to clear rifts. And then every time you move him, costs a lot of minerals and stuff. So I put him in C because he'll do his part, but like he's all right. He'll do his part, but he's not that great.
So you're saying that Gary or Stetboy is not that good against far rifts, so that's pretty much the only place you disagree.
No,
or rifts in general.
He's good against all the things except that he can't do all of them at once.
So yeah, okay. Let me rephrase. He's good at all the things individually, but not everything put together.
Yes, because wherever he's at, he's not. And the map's pretty big.
Yeah, when
so
he's
it's
doing
like,
rifts, he's not doing the objective. When he's doing the objective, he's not defending.
Yes.
Okay.
And and like fighting off trickles is really annoying. And like also because he has Stellalites, they keep getting like the units that can attack air.
I also forgot
from the units that attack ground.
I didn't think that the Stellalites cost gas to deploy. I thought they only cost minerals, so that would be
until you get Hive.
Oh really? So when you get Hive, they also cost gas to deploy.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh my
goodness. I learned that the hard way.
I guess it's kind of good that I'm learning that the easy way. Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, I guess that puts him down a tier. So that makes him only half good again, I guess, against microtransactions. Okay, C tier is fine. Stukov, where do we have him?
Stukov, so this one's like you're basically gambling. I haven't seen anyone try P1 or use P1 because there is a save loaded run of P3 which relied on a lot of luck. So yeah, if you use P3, you can you need a lot of luck. Otherwise, you're gonna get overrun. But because microtransactions is not much of a thing, his economy will be like okay. Eventually you want either Banshees or Diamondbacks, and if there are rifts that are far away, too bad. You just kind of wait them out until you get like an Alexander that can fly there, or an Apocalypse or something. Eventually get there, and you really just pray that you don't get far rifts. So you pray don't get too many of them. I put him in C for P3.
Actually, put him
for P1. P1 requires a lot of micro, which means that he's going to be poor and he'll have the same problem as others. So I think P1 is
better.
Probably still be C.
Same boat.
But yeah.
I actually put them in D. I think the only thing they're good at is microtransactions. I don't think they'll be good against the map itself because when you go for bunkers, the third terminal will be pretty hard to get to because the creep hasn't spread that far yet. So I think it's gonna be problematic. And yeah, it relies on a lot of luck, and I don't think that's good enough for C tier. The guys in C tier, I think, at least control some form of what they contribute. But Stukov, I don't think it's there. I think he's D tier. Just microtransactions.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I think I'm fine with that.
Okay, so you can use either the first prestige. You're right. You say third prestige or first prestige is the same banana, same thing. Well, okay.
From my perspective, they have different problems.
From my perspective, if they're D tier, regardless, you might as well use the easy one. You might as well use the third prestige, but it's really up to you, the viewers. Let's move on. Swann, for me, is kind of in the same boat as Stukov. Takes a while to ramp up. He can go for factories. No, I guess he's not in the same boat. He can go for factories with a bit of luck. He can float them over to spots where you can kind of deal with the void rifts. So I guess that's half a point for far rifts. And if you go for turrets or just the laser drill, you can deal with the attack waves. But it's gonna have the same problem as Super Gary, that wherever the laser is shooting, it's not shooting elsewhere. So I think that's between C and D. I haven't quite decided whether it's C or D. What do you think?
Oh man, I have Void Rift PTSD because I see the time, it says 21:47, and I thought Void Rifts are gonna spawn soon in 3 seconds. 21:50 they spawn, so it's like, oh wait.
Void Rift dramatic.
So one thing that a lot of players they're overly concerned about void rifts. Like, it's right to be worried about void rifts staying alive, but for a commander like Swann, he can handle several unchecked rifts at once because his static defense is so good. So what you do is you just have static defense at the center, so all the far rifts will trickle to that. I put like 3 flaming betties, 2 missile turrets, 2 blaster billies, and just hold there. And then any rifts that are on the far side, I just teleport a Herc and laser drill it down. But not 30 seconds after a rift, because the wave will spawn. So you let the big wave spawn, and then you go kill it.
I forgot the Hercules. All right.
Yeah. I use P1 because I actually made a Goliath science vessel army because what I tried P2 and I had problems clearing. So concentrated beam is good for clearing rifts like with one shot, but you have problem pushing. So if you're playing in a duel and you have an ally that pushes, then P2 is actually pretty good. But yeah, I put him in B because he can handle a lot of stuff. He just has problems against like immortals. So if you're fighting immortals, you want Hellbats to tank in front.
I forgot
and you
about
use your laser trim.
Hercules. Yeah, okay.
Hercules goes
okay.
Yeah, far rifts.
And I also forgot that he can just kind of wall up that area between the expansion of player 2 and the fourth terminal. There's a little choke point there, that little lip thing where the poopagators spin around or the poopagators bend or turn. You can just defend that spot with turrets and I guess siege tanks maybe in case they send long range units.
I put a factory in front.
So you can just let the laser drill do the work. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm okay with B tier. Yeah. Then I forgot about the Hercules and the fact that you just defend that one spot. That makes sense. Tychus, where do we have him?
Well, Tychus, it costs 10 minerals, 5 gas every time you move, but like the enemies aren't stronger, so you don't need more gear. Like it's nice to have, especially against like eventually you want the grenade so you can one shot an entire wave for just 10 minerals. But like even before that, Tychus the commander can hold like 4 unchecked rifts without doing much. So like even if you don't kill them, you just kind of stand there with Sirius in the center and Tychus in the front or something.
He's seriously good.
And you have no problem at all. And then eventually Sam will like super cloak his way back there and kill some rifts or something. But it's really easy. And you'll get Nux and Vega for close rifts eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I put him in S.
Same. I put I put Tychus in S because he's almost a guaranteed win against this. The Outlaws, especially if you have Lone Wolf, extremely strong against Void Rifts and the Trickles, and you don't really need to move much, just one guy. So that's the opposite of what microtransactions does. S tier, I agree. Lone Wolf Prestige, the best one here. Vorazun, another one. I think she's in the same boat as... Well, not really in the same boat. I guess for most players, she's in the same boat. But I've seen guys like Ankalagan play Vorazun. You can just have Dark Templar lurking around undetected terrain or undetected areas and just right-click rifts when they spawn. Most players can't do that. I think for guys like me, I don't think I would be effective with Vorazun against early rifts unless you kind of use a Dark Pylon wall. But then you would kind of wall in your ally, which is not good. And the far rifts, kind of, if you're able to sneak the Dark Templar out of the detection range and then just kind of blink your way onto the rifts where they spawn and then right click them. Definitely not microtransactions because her army is gas heavy and anytime you move them they cost gas also, so you're pretty much poor the entire game, or financially poor. The map itself, that's where I gave them the point. They're fine against the map itself. It's just that not much else for me. I guess if you're a really good player you can bring it up, but for me he's D tier. What do you think?
I thought about it. I just did this one today. So if you're fighting as Terran, you're good, but if you're not, then not good. What you do for far rifts is you kind of just let them stay alive until you get a time stop, and then like your wave of shadow guards will clear everything along the path to there, and then the next time you'll have like free reign over that area. But like I did have random Dark Templar in different places just to like I didn't even control group them. I just drag click them to clear a rift, and then like right click the rift, and whatever trickles come from the rifts, they just go to my base, then they'll die to cannons. But you did mention a good point, which is walling your ally in, because if you don't wall, you're gonna not survive the early game, and if you wall, your ally can't get out.
Yes.
So or they have to break something, which you don't
worse.
want to have to rebuild that. So D is okay.
Okay, let's put him in D. There's only one prestige for Vorazun. If you want to go for Vorazun, you definitely want to go for Shadow of Death. That's the only way. Zagara, where do we have him? Oh, sorry. That Shadow of Death is Alarak. Keeper of Shadows is Vorazun. That's correct. Zagara, where do we have him?
Zagara, she is pretty good. She does cost a lot of money to move her army, and if the enemy has AoE or like a lot of detection too, like not detection, invisible units, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to, like if they have lurkers, you better have like you better be there with Zagara herself to kill them. Otherwise, like your lings will get shredded. And if you're fighting an air comp, you're kind of poor. So making Scourge is kind of expensive. However, against Rifts, she's very good. And what you can do is every time a Rift spawns, you just you right click your rally point to one of the close rifts and you make lings. So like the lings that you make will just go to that rift and kill it. So that saves you a lot of money. And then Roach Drop and her Deep Tunnel stuff are also really good for dealing with far rifts and other stuff. So I actually used Roach Drop Mastery, not full Roach Drop Mastery, but I used some, and it actually helped. It made clearing a lot easier. So I have more respect for Roach Drop now, a little bit more. I put her in B.
Yeah, pretty much same. I gave her a point for early rifts, I gave her a point for far rifts, and I gave her a point for microtransactions because it's just attack move a single way. Yeah, B tier. I think you should use the third prestige. So you have Half Brutalisk, and Half Brutalisk is really good, especially when you have Banelings behind it. So B tier. Zeratul, I had him in A tier because he can just use the Void Seeker to get to far rifts. For the early rift, you can probably save up for a Legion, but that's kind of expensive, or you can just kind of try to tank it until Zeratul comes out. A bit shakier. I wouldn't recommend it, but I think your only way is to effectively hope that the rifts are close to each other, so a single Legion can take care of it. Kind of a shaky start, aren't we? He's gonna get against the map itself because once you have cannons, they're gonna be quite effective. Or if you want to go the army route, you can just move your Void Array around and just unload your army, load it back in, then move elsewhere. So effectively, you're only microing your Void Array. So that's another point for the map itself. Microtransactions. You only micro Zeratul to get to the far rift, right click it, then run back, teleport back. And finally, the microtransactions. That's, you know what? With all that, actually, maybe he's not that good against microtransactions, especially if you use the second prestige. Okay, I changed my mind. Maybe he's B tier after all. Because when I hear myself speak, like, wait, that Zeratul warps to the void rift, wait, that costs money. Zeratul blinks back to base or to the next rift, wait, that costs money. You unload your units from the Void Array, wait, that costs money. You load it back in, wait, that also costs money. Yeah, the more I think about it, maybe he's not that good against microtransactions. Or if you can go the cannon route, each time you morph a cannon, it also costs money. Maybe he's B tier. What do you think?
So Zeratul, in general, against Void Rifts, he has 3.5 strategies against Void Rifts. So one is you make stalkers, so you can kill one of the rifts and then you can tank the other one the units until Zeratul comes out, or if they're close, you can actually fight both of them. You can make cannons and then make sentries or shield guards, and you just hold off until Zeratul comes out, which is doable. You can also mix. Like if you want to use 560 Legion, that's also fine. Or you can use 800 Legion. 800 Legion is also fine, but the Legion is gambling. So like if they're not close to each other, then your Legion kind of sucks.
Yes.
But Legion is by far the safest one, but also the most risky. The riskiest one. So
that's a paradox. It's the safest and the riskiest at the same time.
It's the safest in terms of like if you get it, you kill everything. If you don't get it, then you're leaving a whole rift alone and you have nothing to show for it because you have no units.
Kind of. Especially if it spawns in the far one, in the fourth terminal.
Yes. So this is a map where I used P2, but I did not trap the artifact because trapping the artifact means you have to go home each time. And every time I put a void array on the map, it gets killed by void rays and mutalisks. So for some reason, air units they know where all your other units are.
That sucks.
Units from void rifts, somehow they can spot units on the map or something like that. I'm not sure how, but they fly to my void arrays and they keep killing it. So I stopped using them. So I just kept finding the artifacts, and it's actually easier because I have to be on the map anyways, and sometimes it's right next to me instead of having to go all the way home. As for army, I used stalkers and or ambushers, and you don't blink. You only blink when they get close. Like pretty much you stand there and they auto blink when they get hurt. So that's cool. Eventually you'll have so much when you are about to max out, you don't care about money. So you just make extra cannons with that extra minerals. But and I also spread DTs to clear rifts, just like Vorazun. I put Zeratul in B.
Okay, I guess we're gonna end up in B anyway. What?
It took more tries to beat it with Zeratul than Han Horner. So
oh my goodness.
Horner took 3 tries, 2 or 3 tries.
Yeah,
and Zeratul took like 10.
That's what I eventually came around to. I thought he has a lot of options, but all of them are expensive. That's why I don't think anymore that he deserves to be A tier. Anyway, so we have one guy in S. That's Tychus. I don't think anyone's double S this week. Who's better at A tier, Abathur or Horner?
Abathur.
Yeah, I agree.
Abathur's better because he's all around stronger against the enemies, and you drop like all your toxic nests will just be used to kill the enemy, the escorts. So it's like free kills. You don't even have to do anything. You just place them and they'll walk onto your toxic nest.
Okay, who's next, or who's top of B tier?
I would say Zagara.
I'm also looking at Zagara because half a Brutalisk is really good against Void Rifts. Her only problem really is getting to the last base. And when you play a Zagara, you usually have an ally who's better at getting to the last base. That's her only weakness, getting to the last base.
By that point, you just have map control and stuff.
By that point, your ally should be online. Okay. Yes. I'm okay with Zagara being top of B. Next is, I think, Zeratul now.
I'll still say Zeratul.
Yeah, Zeratul.
Like,
still really good.
You kind of it costs money to do what he does, but it's still good.
Still really good. And then I think Dehaka next.
Dehaka, yes.
And then Swann.
Because Swann gets wrecked by immortals.
Yes, he does. Oh my goodness. You see the difficulty this week. Like even guys like Abathur, who's top of A tier, he still has trouble with immortals. So you can see how the rest of these guys would also have problems. Horner is gonna do terribly against things like Storm. Oh my goodness. And they're A tier. So what more for the rest of these guys? C tier, top of C tier, I think. Stetboy?
No, definitely not.
Not Stetboy?
I would put Manx
first
on top, because
why?
He does have strong bunkers, like, so he can hold the middle pretty well. He can drop troopers to the far ones. He can defend pretty well. And I guess if there are immortals or something, then you put SCVs behind his bunkers, or you just have some dudes out and let them explode after they die.
He's army-based though. Not sure.
So the thing about microtransactions is just because it costs you money to do something doesn't mean you don't do anything. You still have to do it.
I mean, you still have to do it, but
move randomly.
That's not my issue. My issue is you still do it, but it costs more, so it'll take away from the other things that you also have to do. And once you just run out of gas at some point, when you're fighting Void Rift, you're expending trooper money, and when you're ordering them to repair, to build stuff,
I think he's better than the other ones here.
That's a fair point. None of the others are.
Like, he's not far better than the other ones here, but like the Alarak would be a close contender as well. It's just that if you lose your mothership, you're in huge trouble. And mothership will get hit a lot because it's like probably the only unit, and you have to be able to micro hit squads, which is hard for some people. Whereas Manx, you just kind of drop troopers in the general direction, and like if there are trickles, you let them go to your bunker wall, your bunker forest. So in that sense, you're not in a rush to clear rifts, whereas with Alarak and some of the others, you kind of want, if you don't kill them, they're gonna like spawn a bunch of stuff that will destroy some of your army.
You're gonna get overwhelmed. Okay, let's go Arcturus, top of C. How about Karax?
Karax will be probably second because similar thing, except you're just poorer than already poor Megs. So but similar thing, you have a cannon forest, and then trickles will just die to that, and then eventually you get to the rifts. Even if you don't get them immediately, you don't have to panic.
Okay, I can see that. How about Fenix? He's hectic, yes, but he can do it.
Yes and no. Yes, because you really need to know what you're doing at every point, every stage in the game, and you need to make sure your conservator doesn't die, so you can warp in your reinforcements, and you need to know like where to put all your army and stuff, and you have to hope that your enemy is not, well, the highest tier wave is only 5, so actually there are no like unless you're fighting like Fleet of the Matriarch, you really won't face capital ships, Fleet of the Matriarch or classic mech. Otherwise you won't face capital ships, so it's not that bad.
We're getting top or number 3 in C tier. I don't think. I mean, who's better than Fenix?
I think Nova's better. Nova is better than Fenix because Nova can clear far rifts safely. You don't have to worry about getting access to the far rifts. You just slowly walk there and sabotage drone things along the way.
How about Stetboy?
I put Stetmann at the bottom of this.
Bottom
of C, yes, because he's only doing one of the things. He's doing it well, but he's only doing one at a time.
Okay.
I put so for the last 4, for me it's Nova, Alarak, Fenix, Stetmann.
Alarak, Fenix, boy. For me it's Fenix, Nova, Alarak, Stetboy.
Even I haven't done this with Nova, but I have done it with Fenix, and I feel that Nova is gonna be easier. Nova's gonna be easier.
It's
But
easy. All right,
Phoenix.
let's call it a tie. There we go. Let's
Yeah.
call it a tie. Phoenix or Nova, Phoenix, then Alarak, then Stetboy.
All right, that's fine.
All right, call it a tie. Yeah, you can mix them up. Okay, top of D tier, Kerrigan,
Huh.
because their competition is Stukov and Vorazun.
They all have their own problems. Of course, that's why they're down there. Their problems are so different from each
I
other.
think Kerrigan should be top of D. She gets to the far rifts. I mean, she can
She
also have-
doesn't get to them as easily as it may seem.
Well, no one else gets the. No one else in D gets to the far rifts.
True. Vorazun can kind of ignore them until you get a time stop, and then you go. You like
Yeah, you
fly
wait
in
for
a
time
unit
stop.
from the second bonus. You fly in from that empty space. There's like a small empty space. You fly in and then you time stop.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Where the enemy waves spawn,
Yeah.
kind of.
Uh,
We could call it a tie between Vorazun and Kerrigan.
yeah. I guess Stukov is the worst one here.
Yeah. Raynor, Artanis. Just pick whoever you want.
Artanis is better.
Artanis is better. Okay, that's correctly ordered.
Slightly better.
Slightly better. Okay, now, which pairs is there a combination or is there a team of anyone from B tier down to E tier who combined are better than Tychus alone?
This one, yes. Like, if it includes B, then
The Zagara, Zeratul,
Yes.
the Z's.
yeah. If you have two B's, it's gonna be easier than one S.
Yeah.
If you're going just C, D, and E, then maybe not.
You're not?
Well,
How about Nova
not
and
better.
Karax?
Who and Karax?
Nova and Karax.
Nova and Karax. That's actually pretty good because Karax
Yes,
just defends,
just
and
defends.
then Nova goes on the
Just
far
clears.
ones.
And Karax just defends and then snipes rifts.
Karax's problem is that he also can't clear.
Yeah.
So,
So
if someone clears for him, then easy.
Yeah. Statboy and Karax, I think, might be better
Same,
than
yes. Karax, Manx plus one of the
when the
ones that go on
offensive
offense.
commanders. Yeah, even Kerrigan and Karax would do really well.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of. All right, that's enough pairs. Wait, is there anyone in E tier who would pair well with one of the guys from B to D who would do well? I guess Artanis with Garden Shell would pair well with Zagara.
Yeah.
That's it.
That like
That's
it's
about it.
basically like a little cheat code.
Kind of. I guess Raynor can scan for some of these guys, but that's about all he'll do. All right, that's good enough for me. That's our tier list for this week, guys. Watch Twotuu's videos. I will link them below. I will see you guys next time. And thank you again for watching the video. Thank you for dropping comments, dropping likes, and all that stuff. See you next time.